As you get better and better in League of Legends, you start grasping many of the large concepts that you may not have understood before, causing big jumps in rank and lots of progress. Many people might envision the climb kind of like this, with a uniform level of difficulty between each rank. However, it ends up being much more like this. Early on, you'll feel like you're making huge strides, pushing from Iron to Bronze, and Bronze to Silver doesn't take the same amount of time it does to push from Grandmaster to Challenger. Once you get up there in ranks, progress becomes a lot more difficult, as you probably already know most of the main concepts and don't really know what's holding you back anymore. There's no longer any huge fixes to make, and it really comes down to the absolute tiniest details that separate you from someone better. In this guide, we're going to talk about what to do to get through those humps, whether they start in Silver or Grandmaster. In order to improve, you have to understand what separates you from someone better. Again, the higher up you go, the harder this gets. So even if you only miss one decision in a string of 10, at Challenger level that's going to be extremely punishing. If you mess up 5 times in lower elos, you might not get punished at all, but it's important to fix those mistakes now so that you won't suffer in the future. While guides on large concepts are very useful, if you think you're already applying all the knowledge and you're still not improving at the rate you want, the best way to fix this is to compare your thought process to someone else to see where your gaps in knowledge are. To do this, we'll showcase gameplay from high elo players to have you test your knowledge against theirs. Today, we're going to be looking at the Odd Orange's Elise, who hit Challenger at 14 and has gone on to play on teams like Echo Fox and Team Liquid. He's definitely in the conversation for best Elise in North America. I'll be your guide and break down every single decision in the early game. It's incredibly important to actually understand why decisions are being made, not just approve of them when they are. For this reason, we're going to be asking a lot of questions, and for your benefit, try to play along and keep track of how many you get right. Be honest with yourself, and if anything gets brought up that you just didn't think about, write it down for the future. To start, let's look at the team comps and formulate a game plan based on the information we'll have at the start of the game, namely just champions and lane matchups. Take a second to think and pause the video if you need more time. What lanes would you want to play around? What kinds of first path would you look to do? A few things stick out immediately. Jace is the only source of AD damage on red team, so it's extremely important that he is able to be ahead or the enemy team will just stack MR. Additionally, Jace is an early game champion that tends to fall off later in the game, which increases the value of playing towards topside even more. At high levels of play, we often talk about strong side and weak side, which generally just denotes the side of the map a jungler will spend most of their time playing around. By making topside strong, the Odd Orange can use Jace's likely early priority to open up his options. He can evade easier on topside and more easily contest top crab than bottom. This also has the dual purpose of allowing Jace to play without fear of the enemy jungler, and because both the jungle and top lane should on paper win their 1v1s, their 2v2 is very strong as well. Some of you might have wanted to play for bot here since they have 2 CC abilities, and while that's true, you don't always want to path into a lane just because it has gank set up. It's more important to consider the overall win condition of the game, and figure out how your early pressure will translate into a win. Playing for bot has a much weaker win condition due to the enemy just uniformly stacking MR versus the 3 people that would benefit from bot and jungle being ahead. Okay, so going into the game and knowing we want to path towards top, starting blue is the only thing that makes sense. Gromp afterwards is pretty much guaranteed in every pathing from blue, unless your champion really sucks at single target camps. So we'll pause at the next point that we need to make a decision. Right after we finish the Gromp, what would you look to do here? Sorry for the trick question, but the first thing you need to know is the wave states of lanes around where you're going to path to. If you rush to answer this question, make sure you're considering all the information available to you before jumping to a decision. If you don't know enough to answer a question, that's okay. Just recognize that you might need more information. Because of this, we now know that one of our good topside plays, a top dive, is less likely to work. The reason for this is the top lane wave state. A huge wave like this will not crash on the 3rd wave, where a blue Gromp red into top dive would have been a good timer. With 5 additional minions, this wave will crash much too quickly to have this play work. If Elise were to all in on the idea of doing blue Gromp red and going straight to top, the wave wouldn't be in a good spot for the dive, or to invade due to Camille being able to move. This would mean Elise's risky, low camp and high aggression play probably wouldn't result in much, wasting her time and setting her behind the enemy jungler. To offset this, doing wolves here kills some time and allows for Jace's wave to change from this less favorable state to a more gankable state here, as well as keeping Elise more relevant in terms of experience. Even if Camille hadn't all-in here, the wave would be shoving out and she hasn't had the chance to ward yet. meaning sitting in the river bush would have a high success chance, and would only use 10 seconds of time instead of the 25 that would have been spent for this gank if Elise had skipped wolves. Using time as efficiently as possible is key to opening up more opportunity for you later. Wasting as little time as possible should always be on every jungler's mind. Anyways, after this play, what would you look to do? At this point, we know from earlier that Rek'Sai started at red due to bot lane showing late to lane, and we still haven't seen her on the map. It's likely that she began clearing from bot to top, so phase checking into the bush here for Top Crab is really scary, especially with Jace's resources being so low and Elise's flash being down. Going for Top Crab isn't really an option here, unless we have some more information. OddOrange hangs around for a bit to see if Rek'Sai shows top to interrupt Jace's recall. Here we see Rek'Sai show bot on the minimap. What would you do now? Another trick question, but hopefully you got it this time. The minimap is not enough. We need to do a few things here. One is press tab and count Rek'Sai's CS. The other is move our camera to bot to check buffs. In the rest of this video, we'll provide lane states for you, but don't forget that your first instinct should be to want to look at them. Once we do this, we have more information to use for later plays. Now let's analyze the situation. Rek'Sai is missing blue and we cleared our whole bot side. So the easiest way she could have gotten 16 CS here is from her full bot side and bot crab. Take a second to think about what you would do now. Top Crab is now on the table, as are all of Rek'Sai's camps and our own. However, also knowing that Jace can just TP back and Rek'Sai won't be around to counter, Elise and Jace can just go for a dive on the enemy top laner to deny the wave and snowball their advantage even further. Elise stays patiently out of vision while Jace pushes the wave and gets behind Camille to cut off her escape routes, then waits for her to take tower aggro before committing. With nowhere to go and no TP to salvage her lane, Camille is pretty much completely out of the game at this point. As Elise, what would you look for next? Remember all of those topside camps that Rek'Sai didn't do? This is why it's important that we did information gathering early. Without it, we probably would have just thought that Top Crab was the only thing up here and gone straight for that. However, Jace and Elise know that Rek'Sai and Camille can't respond to a blue steal and go for it, securing it easily. After the blue, what would you look to do? Having killed Camille 20 seconds or so ago, we should be pretty worried that she will show up soon. Even though Jace is ahead of Camille, he still needs to reset to buy items and restore resources. Additionally, the enemy support died 30 seconds ago and has a really good roam timer until the wave crashes back at their tower. Right now is not a good time to do anything, so OddOrange opts to lose double crab and instead takes Krugs and resets, the much safer option. Off of the recall, where would you go? Here are the lane states. You should look at your lanes here and see that bot has pushed their wave all the way in, meaning a neutral wave will occur soon. Mid has a neutral wave and is recalling while top is crashing at our tower, meaning it will be ungankable by the time we get there. As far as camp efficiency here, it makes the most sense to go to Gromp here since it and Wolves are our cycled camps, and it would allow us to path back towards top lane. After the Gromp, where would you go? We saw Pyke die on our way to bot, so we feel relatively safe about leaving bot lane alone here, meaning top and mid are the areas we should focus our attention. While mid is definitely gankable in this state, let's remind ourselves of our win condition. This game rests almost entirely on Jace being enough of a threat to kill MR stacking targets, so we're going to weigh that much more heavily. Because of this, let's think about when this lane will be able to be influenced by us. A wave like this is huge and will crash relatively soon. If we want to punish the Camille and not let her farm this wave under tower to collect a massive amount of gold, we need to be top when it does. Additionally, a wave like this is where Rek'Sai would likely look for a gank. Skipping Wolves lets us be on time for this play now. Think back on when we did Wolves on the first clear to go top. The wave state of where you want to influence is the main deciding factor in how many camps you can do to still get there on time while maximizing your own farm. Elise and Jace win the resulting play and deny a massive amount of gold from Camille once again. After respawning, OddOrange goes back to the bot side to claim his blue, and skips camps to get back to top side sooner. Why do you think this is? Once again, we want to play around our win condition. Rift Herald is also spawning here, so we can start translating this massive top lead into an actual map win. Playing around your strong side constantly gives you really high percentage chances of all your plays working out. Once you start a snowball, you need to keep it going, and that's exactly what happened in this game. Later in the game, Jace absolutely takes over, all according to plan. He smashes team fights, allowing Otorange to secure Herald and start opening up the map. Otorange is winning in his 1v1, and the rest of the game plays out super easily for their team. In planning, he identified a win condition and played to it extremely well. Sometimes you're not the 1v9 carry in a game, and that's okay, but setting up the right teammate to do it is just as valuable as knowing how to do it yourself. And if you're serious about truly becoming a better jungler and climbing fast, then check out Skillcapped. It's the best place to improve at League of Legends. We have hundreds of guides just like this one, and we upload tons of new videos to our site each week. If you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using skill caps, you can claim a full refund, so there's no risk. That's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. We offer this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't, you shouldn't pay for it. We hope you were able to identify some of your own lapses in knowledge through this replay, and if you got every scenario right, then congratulations. Let us know how well you did in the comments below, and let us know if you'd like to see more content like this in the future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.